110 gold to sell something which you're selling to others for 96. The town it's an infinite source of money, but it doesn't make sense why it's an infinite source of money. The economy just doesn't make sense. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Spiffing Brit, and today we're in the fantastic game that is Port Royale 4. Hang on a second, this game's not out yet. What's that? Closed beta build? Work in progress version 0.10? It's not even a release build, ladies and gentlemen, and you know what that means? It means perfect game balance. Oh my goodness. Grab your cups of tea, ladies and gentlemen, because we're about to be playing a game which hasn't even been released yet, meaning that hopefully the developers will watch this video and think, yes, we need to definitely make some balance changes here. Because whilst this game is absolutely great fun, there's certainly some questionable features which will effectively have players cheese their way through the entire game with absolutely zero difficulty. Now, what is Port Royale 4? Well, Port Royale 4 is the fourth game in the Fantastic series, which is very similar to games like Anno and Patrician. It's all about management of a town and a populace, and giving them resources and goods so that they grow, as well as setting up businesses and trade routes and fighting off pirates, fighting off other countries. You name it, this game has it. If you want to be a pirate in this game and just quite simply have no allegiance to any nation and just raid trade vessels all day long, then you can. Or at least you could if the developers actually balanced it. Instead, in this game, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be turning yourself from a level 1 peasant farmer into a level infinity mega tycoon. For some reason, ladies and gentlemen, this game is now all about money and trading. But I'm not talking about the puny trading games that you're used to. I'm not talking about playing OpenTTD and you've just spent 70 minutes setting up a beautiful and efficient train line so that you can get the people from Henley upon Bottomtown to Shagwater-on-Thames on time. In OpenTTD, that's how you make your millions. In this game, you can make your millions by quite simply hitting about 4 buttons. Anyway, it's time I showed off how I became the wealthiest person in the entirety of the Caribbean. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a cup of tea, and hey, if you're feeling especially jazzy today, you might even leave a like on the video. My goodness, thank you very much. Now let's dive into this. Alright, without further ado, it's time for us to start a brand new game in the free mode. Now in the free mode at the moment, because it's in beta, there are only 2 different nations you can pick. You can either choose to play as the English with their fantastic bonuses of building ships faster, or alternatively you can play as the Spanish. The Spanish basically grow their towns faster and have a higher base satisfaction for their citizens, meaning that their people are less likely to be upset when you fail to cough up their monthly shipment of freshly puffed cream pastries. The English citizens, however, will be most annoyed if you fail to give them access to their fine cups of afternoon tea and scones. I mean, naturally we're going to be playing the English because I'm pretty sure it'd be illegal for me to play any other country in this game. So yes, we're playing the English, although we won't actually even be using particularly any of their bonuses. They won't affect us in any way because most of their bonuses are entirely around building big military ships, but this game can be won entirely without actually even having a military. I don't even see there being a point to having any aggressive naval vessels, because there are absolutely no consequences of having your vessels attacked in this game. Anyway, now that we've chosen our nation, it's time for us to pick our character. All of these characters come with fantastical little bonuses. You can be the adventurer and just travel around the map a bit faster. You can be the merchant, and we'll get back to them later. You could be the buccaneer, basically the person who would fight for the English nation and try and attack rival powers. Or you could be the pirates. Pirates are brilliant because you will not be attacked by pirates and you gain a pirate bark. The only downside is the buildings will be 20% more expensive, but the biggest downside is that actually pirates in this game for some reason are absolutely terrible. They are useless and redundant. They can't particularly attack, there's no real benefit to being a pirate, and there's only one actual viable character if you want to get filthy rich. They say a life of piracy and crime doesn't pay, and you know what? They'd be absolutely right. Instead, ladies and gentlemen, you want to make yourself a merchant. You see, the merchant does not require a trade license to trade and is able to trade with all nations, even the ones they're at war with. The only downside is that combat vessels will cost twice as much fame points, and for some reason it will still only cost the merchant 1 fame point to purchase. I don't know how the calculation is done, but basically it's balked. That means that the merchant gets the best of everything because they can have a large military, they have large bank accounts, and they can trade with just about anyone no matter what. England and France could be at war with each other and trying to assassinate each other, but it makes no difference because I can still make absolute millions trading between the capital ports of England and France. You are are basically immune to everything else going on in the world, and consequently you will make filthy amounts of money. Now, what on earth are we going to be calling our fantastic merchant leader today? Well, I think it makes perfect sense if we call our lovely female merchant here Mary Moneybags. I mean, she literally has her money bag right there, and we're going to be taking her out into the world and adventuring with her. Well, mostly just making a lot of money. We won't be doing much adventuring at all. And don't worry, I'll be explaining why very shortly. She is completely and utterly broken. So it's time for us to move to the next screen where we actually need to set up our game. Now, as you can see, we have basically everything set to default. In the free mode, you start with £300,000 or gold coins, I don't know what they are, and 3 vessels. Now, as you can see, this is the lovely map of the Caribbean. To the north, we have the tip of Florida, also known as the Wang of America. Along the west coast here, we have all of the massive collection of Spanish colonies. To the north, we have the very prosperous and wealthy Netherlands, but across the vast majority of the islands, it is all controlled by the British. And as much as the game wants me to start right the way down here in Georgetown, that's a stupid idea. If you want to really metagame this game, you're really going to want to start in a place like Port-au-Prince and then just trade to the capital back and forth, but I actually prefer to meme it up a bit, and instead we're going to Baracoa. Although I have to be honest, the first time I saw this I read it as Barocca, which for those of you that don't know is a very strange tablet which you pop into a glass of water and it goes very fizzy. So yes, we're about to become effectively the mayor of Barocca, and with 3 vessels and 300,000, we're going to take this money and turn it into multi-millions at an incredible speed as well. Right, it's time for us to begin. I love a good loading screen. Anyway, welcome to the world of Port Royale 4. It is actually really beautiful. This map is lovely, and whilst I am technically running this on quite possibly the greatest PC in known existence, the game doesn't really chug. Its performance is very tasty. Now, here is our lovely town of Baracoa. It's pretty small. It has 1,808 inhabitants, of which 440 are workers. It has a kind of increasing risk of plague, and there are currently 84 people looking for work. If those people don't find work here, they will quite simply move elsewhere to try and fill a job. But before we start giving those people jobs, we need to start finding ways of making more money. Now, in our lovely town of Baracoa, we can see that it produces 4 goods. It produces coal, grain, beer, and pastries. Now, grain doesn't necessarily sell for that much, and neither does beer, but things like pastries, my goodness, you should take a look at what the average pastry goes for. 334 gold for each unit of pastry. My goodness, that's incredible. Now, we have our fleet here, which is comprised of mostly garbage. It's a bunch of schooners. They're pretty fast, but they're very small. They don't exactly have much capacity, but we will be able to use them for a lot of trading. You know what, let's rename this first fleet of ours. We're going to create the Scooner Gang. Our gang of 3 tiny ships which are going to hopefully make us a lot of money. Now, immediately if we just let the game run, we're going to just lose all of our gold, because as you can probably guess, our financial situation is not the best. We're not making any money. We don't get any tax from controlling Baracoa. So we need to start our first trade route. This will be our fantastic first moneymaker. Quite simply, all we're going to do is take goods from Baracoa and dump them off in Tortuga. It is genuinely as easy as that. But we can even spice this up a little bit more, ladies and gentlemen, by adding in Isabella and then going back to Tortuga. My goodness, we've got an entire trip organized here. Fantastic. Now, what you then do is you need to go into all of these lists and set what you're buying and selling at each of these towns, but you actually don't need to do any of that. You can just quite simply hit an automatic button, which will decide when to sell things and when to buy things. Whilst this is not the most efficient way of doing it, it is certainly the easiest way of doing it. So I just need to assign the first moneymaker route over to our convoy, get them to activate the route, and then now watch them sail across the world. So away our Scooner Gang goes. It's filled itself up with coal, beer, pastries, and grain, and it's going to sell them in Tortuga. Now, if we already look at the graph, our schooner probably has not made much money. As you can see, it's currently made minus 8,000 gold, but given time, it will definitely make its profits back. It's just a case of lots of complicated trading. Now, before we actually overly focus on our schooner, which has actually already just turned its first profit, we need to immediately start diversifying. And by diversifying, I mean buying more ships. Now, we could buy more schooners here. They're only 10,000 a pop, and already they've almost managed to pay for themselves. But in my case, schooners aren't everything. Instead, we want to get ourselves a brig. These are a very common, inexpensive merchant vessel with good cargo capacity and decent speed. So we're going to be purchasing ourselves 2 of these bad boys. Yes, that's 40,000 gold down the drain, but trust me, it's going to pay for itself. So now that we have our brand new fleet, this is going to be our moneymaker ship. These are going to be the brig boys. Their job is entirely to make us a filthy amount of money by simply running a route to the capital port. In our case, that's Santo Domingo. From then, we want to go up from Santo Domingo to Port-au-Prince, and then finally finish off at Baracoa, and then just repeat this route continuously. The reason this is a necessary route is because in order to level up in this game, you need to start helping the Viceroy over here, whose name is Godric King. Now, whilst Godric does look like he could fall over and die at any moment from a heart attack, he is still the most powerful man in the Caribbean until I make my multi-millions. And so we must woo him with fame by giving him various items, like say chocolate, coffee, we won't be giving him that, cotton and tobacco. By giving him those items, we then gain fame, and we can then spend that fame on upgrading ourselves and getting more advanced businesses going. Now, of the things that Baracoa produces, it's currently actually not operating at peak efficiency. We're producing grain, we're producing coal, we're also producing pastries, and we're producing beer. But no one has actually decided to build a cocoa plantation yet. Cocoa plantations are a fantastic source of gold and goods and resources, so I'm going to be slamming down 4 of them in a row here to create a fantastic organization. This will take our chocolate production from 0 to 26.3, which is a perfect spot to be in, although it will actually upset the workers by simply not having enough space for them to live. So once we have that up and running, we need to counter it by building more houses in Baracoa. But anyway, that's all for the future, because we need to get our schooners making more money on their trade routes, which luckily they are doing. Good job, schooners, and good job, brick boys. Oh, we got a new task from the Viceroy. What's this? As you may have noticed, we've plenty of coffee. However, in towns of Spain, there is a shortage. You would very much help our economy if you would sell 140 coffee to our friends. Sorry, Spain are our friends? I suppose you're right. We're not technically at war with anyone, but still. The last thing I'm going to do is sell Lucidio Gonzalez of Spain a bunch of coffee, especially as it's a heretical good which has no place in my Caribbean. Anyway, we're just going to increase the game speed and watch the money tick on in. As you can see, our brig boys are already made a stupid amount of money. We can see that our automatic sales have kind of netted us about 83,000 gold, which is very nice. So despite the fact that we spent a lot of money on vessels and buildings, we will eventually make all that money back. I mean, we're now immediately almost at 200,000 again. Things are looking good. Now, the people of Baracoa aren't exactly very happy, and their satisfaction is going to fall very quickly for several reasons. Reason 1, the citizens don't have enough houses. The housing situation means that most of the people are very upset. Equally, the risk of plague is far too high for my liking, so I want to build a couple of hospitals. But before I do that, I need to actually slam down a church, as well as a couple of extra houses. These extra houses in this church will provide more living space for our workers, meaning that the peoples generally won't be as upset. Oh, and fantastic! Because our town has now reached a population of almost 2,000, we can actually build ourselves a proper small church. This will allow our town to expand and grow, and so we're going to slap that down, and I mean, it does cost us about 50,000 gold, but 50,000 gold isn't particularly hard to come by. Now, yes, the peasants are getting really upset about the housing situation. We've gone from about 1,600 inhabitants to 2,400 inhabitants, so naturally there's not exactly many houses going around. Yeah, about 1% of the population actually is satisfied with the current ongoing housing, meaning that I need to get more residential areas down, apparently. Alright, let's get them down then. All these extra houses. You people best be happy, okay? I had to spend a lot of money on that. Let it be known that Governor Spiff is very generous to his working population, provided they make enough chocolate for him to sell on the market. Now, before we get too far into the video, I would like to stress that whilst it is very easy to glamorize the situation of the Caribbean in terms of being an untamed collection of islands just waiting to be exploited, it's actually a pretty dark time in history. It's very easy for someone like myself to look back at it as a time of fantastic money making, but really it was mostly just a time of exploiting people and a workforce in order to get certain people very, very rich whilst keeping everyone else in effectively poverty or just dangerous environments. Anyway, back to the video. So we've managed to make 300,000, which is good. It's a brilliant start. Certainly it's mostly thanks to our 2 trade routes, which have so far turned around a profit of about 200,000 each. This means we're able to buy ourselves a few more trade ships. There's actually not too many ships left to buy, but I can certainly buy myself 2 extra schooners, and then we can create a new fleet out of these 2 schooners and name it the Scooner Gang. Because you see, in order to produce the pastries in Baracoa, we need to get sugar, and Tortuga and Isabella do not produce sugar, and neither does Port-au-Prince or Santo Domingo, so it is up to us to move the sugar from Port Royale over to Baracoa. So let's create ourselves a new trade route. We go Port Royale, we go Baracoa, then we go Santiago, and we repeat. Lovely stuff. Infinite money. And once again, we just set everything off to be automatic and then just send our convoy on its way. Lovely stuff. Let the money making commence. I mean, that only cost us 20,000 gold to set up, and I can tell you that that trade route is going to make more than 20,000 gold. I mean, they've already brought what, 86 sugar over, so let's just watch them sell that. Fantastic stuff. They pick up a bunch of extra goods, which they're then going to turn on into more money. You see, trading is a complicated thing. It's all about supply and demand, you see. And in our case, we definitely control most of the supply. Anyway, I've got a couple of hospitals getting placed down in my towns because I want to try and make sure that the workforce doesn't accidentally catch the plague, but the game is actually giving me some pretty accurate tips. Basically, there is currently an abundant commodity in this town, and that commodity is chocolate. We produce way more than this town can ever need, and we don't actually move it outside of the town fast enough. So what does this actually mean in practice? Well, it basically means that it is absolutely dirt cheap to buy. It costs 96 gold to purchase yourself a bit of chocolate. Then if you go over to Tortuga here, you can sell what only costs you 60 to buy in one town for 216 here. And the more we produce in Baracoa, the cheaper it is to buy from our own ports. Now you can start seeing how the economy works. Anyway, for us to actually start taking effect of this, we need to buy ourselves a couple of barks. So 2 barks purchased. These lovely bad boys have a stupid amount of cargo space, and so we're going to be able to set them up on some very profitable trade routes. But before we can actually have them doing trade routes, we need to go and find more ports to trade with. You see, up to our north is the Dutch, but we haven't actually technically discovered them yet, so I'm going to send my boat off and hopefully we'll discover some Dutch ports. There we go. Here's the Dutch capital port of Nassau. There's the port of Andros, lovely, and then I'm pretty sure there's some French ports along here as well. Yes, there's Mosquito and Florida Keys, of course. Go up the coast and you find even more ports. If you even continue along, you'll even get to the French capital port. Anyway, now that we've discovered the Dutch, it's time for us to create a brand new route of chocolate for the Dutch. This entire trade route will quite simply go from Baracoa all the way over to the Dutch capital, which doesn't have chocolate, and it will make a filthy amount of money. Fantastic. Now just have that trade route repeat itself and we have infinite money. Oh my goodness, I'm already at 400,000 cash, so this is of course much more than we started with, and our operation to make silly amounts of money is only just beginning. I'm going to buy myself a few more brigs. I'm actually going to get myself 3 brigs, and I'm going to bulk them up all into one great big fleet, which I'm not even going to be bothered to name. I'm going to then move this fleet over to Baracoa because I have some plans. So in Baracoa, we now have 2,800 people here, 680 of which are workers and 69 are looking for jobs. Also, a lot of them still need houses, which is certainly something that I need to find a way of fixing. So I've slapped down a couple of extra houses, but what I also need to do is increase the production of goods. You see, whilst we have coal, we're not really exploiting it. We're only getting a small amount out of the ground, and so I'm going to slam down even more coal mines. Coal is effectively free money. The same can be said for the chocolate that we produce. We need more workers working on it, as that means we get more money. But the main reason why chocolate is so important is because if we go to our Viceroy and go to the fame section, in order for us to gain fame, we need to get chocolate to the capital. Ah, fantastic. Apparently the capital also doesn't want coffee anymore. Lovely. What's this? In our towns, tobacco has been in short supply for a long time, while France has enough. You therefore ask for me to buy tobacco from France and drop it off into our towns. I've delivered minus 24 so far. I guess that means I've taken tobacco from our ports and moved it elsewhere. Okay. How on earth have I got minus 24 for that? Come on, game. That's not how it works. Anyway, we're going to have our lovely Santo Domingo trade ship here. Trade with the town. We have some goods in abundant supply. Oh my goodness, we don't even. Cocoa isn't in abundant supply anymore. We need to make it in abundant supply though. That means more chocolate farms. Oh yes. So there we go. There's another set of farms built, and that really has kind of used up all of our cash, but you know, it's necessary. And with that, that should hopefully increase the production of chocolate. I'm hoping that we also increase the production of coal, as the combination of the two should start really pushing Baracoa into having abundant production of all of the goods that it produces. When it has the abundant production, well, that's basically meaning we can make much more money off of the trade. I'm also guessing we're going to need more houses for these workers, because we're now almost at 3,000 people living here, and a 50% chance of a bloody plague happening. Oh god. That's the last thing we need. Ah, there we go. We've hit 3,000 population in our town, meaning we've now hit the 3rd bar. It honestly won't be long before Baracoa overtakes Santo Domingo. In fact, I'm pretty sure maybe we already have. They're at 3,300. Nope, we're getting close. Now, the fun thing about a town is that when you want to grow the population really, really quickly, what you can do is you can just sail over to another port, like say Tortuga here. So we're going to sail on over to Tortuga and open up the trade window. But instead of loading up goods, we can instead load people. You can just buy 29 sailors for the low price of nothing in Tortuga and then move them over to Baracoa. So we could go over to Baracoa here and deposit our sailors for, once again, nothing, and that adds to the town's population. So if you really, really want to grow a town and you want it to demand more goods, then just quite simply flood it with a bunch of sailors that you found waiting around in other ports. And it doesn't even cost you anything. I love it. Anyway, I'm pretty sure Baracoa just overtook Santo Domingo there, which is a perfect sign for us. Oh, and once again, yes, we're getting warned about the residential situation. Fine, very well, I'll fix it. So how do we fix the residential situation? Well, what you need is you slap down yourself a chapel, a tavern, and then you build houses around all of them. Now that we've set up our fantastic chocolate business though, as you can see, the production of chocolate is now up to 52.8, and also the production of coal has also skyrocketed, which is perfect. Now this is a very good thing for us because it means when it comes to trading, hopefully we're going to start hitting a point where chocolate has become stupidly abundant and consequently very cheap. But in order to get extra fame points with the crown, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy effectively almost all of the chocolate inside of Baracoa for the low cost of 88,000 gold, and then sail it all the way over to Santo Domingo. Now in Santo Domingo I can then sell all of these bad boys for 102,000 gold. But the profit that we make here isn't necessarily anything fantastic. The reason why it's important is because we'll get fame for effectively sending this back to England. So we sell all of that and take a look at the Viceroy, and we've just made ourselves 35 fame for selling all of that chocolate. Anyway, time for us to go home. Oh, and apparently, yep, news has just hit us. War has broken out in the Caribbean. The English are at war with Spain. Now, what does this mean for us? Oh no, the Spanish are going to sink our boats. Well, actually, no. You see, allow me to demonstrate what happens in this game. I'm going to take my fantastic fleet of free ships over to Baracoa. I'm going to say load them up with 150 chocolate, and I'm going to sail it right the way over here to a Spanish port and simply sit outside. Right, come on, I know you've got a couple around here somewhere. There we go. We've just encountered ourselves a Spanish military fleet. We 100% can never beat them in a fight, but apparently we just had a fight with them. We had a sea battle where the Santo Domingo, a fleet of free ships with no cannons and no sailors, fought against two Spanish military ships which have 82 cannons. But because we don't have any fighters on our side, our captains immediately capitulate before the battle has even started, handing over a small quantity of their goods. 15 chocolate in total. Just 15 chocolate. 15 chocolate costs us nothing. There are still over 141 bits of chocolate on this bloody boat, meaning that entire fight with the Spanish military has cost us nothing. They also won't come back and fight us again. What's even better about this is that my ships aren't even damaged that much. They can just sail back to a port and automatically repair. Let me find another Spanish port. Oh, here we go. Nueva Filipina. Now these guys don't produce chocolate and I'm at war with them, but because I'm a trader, that means nothing and I can still sell them things. So I'm going to sell them some chocolate because I can. So there we go. I sell them one chocolate and that's some nice profit. But I'm going to go south and instead find myself the Spanish capital, which I'm pretty sure is down here. So we're going to sail our ships laden with chocolate over towards the Spanish capital, of whom I'm technically at war with, and I'm going to be making myself a profit because for some reason that's how this game works. And I've got some good news. Our society is once again leveled up, allowing me to build a church because we now have just under 4,000 people living here, making Baracoa larger than Santo Domingo by a very long margin. Anyway, let's go sell some chocolates to our enemies. And we haven't even been attacked again. Right, here we go. Marcabio. Now, these guys, once again, don't have much of a supply of chocolate. Actually, wait, no, they apparently have 983 chocolate lying in their town square. Well, that doesn't matter. We can sell it from our boat for a lovely profit, even though we're at war with them, and that's job done. It's a pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Spanish, but it's time for us to leave. Oh no, you attacked us again. What did you do? Absolutely nothing. Great. It's just, why? There's no threat. There's no danger. I can't lose money. It makes no sense. I could just make infinite quantities of wealth thanks to this game. Anyway, I'm going to sail on over to Baracoa and try and pull this off again. Alright, Baracoa, once again, the cost of chocolate has now dropped to 96. And provided I only buy 300 of you, it's only going to cost me on average 105 gold for each chocolate. So now all I need to do is sell this chocolate for higher than the average of 105. Well, I've got some good news. What we can do is we can just sell it straight over to the port of Evangeliste here, which actually produces chocolate. Oops, I accidentally bought their entire stock. Now, in order to make our money back, I've just gone over to the port of Nueva Filipina here, and I'm just going to sell it all. And we can sell all of this for 111 and push Nueva Filipina into a massive abundance and just make a stupid amount of money. There we go. That's a good trade deal. Oh no, and we got attacked whilst we were on our way there. We lost 36 chocolate. Oh no, that hasn't impacted my finances at all. Anyway, it's time for the Santo Domingo to actually do its own trade routes. Now, the fastest ways to make stupid amounts of money in this game, like say myself here, as I've gone over the halfway mark to 1 million, is to quite simply get control of a town and boost the production of one of its goods into stupid levels where basically no other town can compete, because that means that the good is effectively in constant abundance, which is perfect for us. Well, we can build ourselves a small warehouse, apparently. Lovely. I'll build a small warehouse in the center of Baracoa here. Lovely stuff. And with all of this extra gold, I've set up some extra businesses, as well as it's probably also time for me to purchase some more ships. So it's about these two sloops just lying around. I mean, they're really cheap, so we might as well. And here we have our sloop squad, who will be doing the sloopers trade route, route, and the sloopers trade route quite simply is just going to be getting more goods out of Barracoa over to this port over here. Actually, yes, it will just be a case of getting goods out of Barracoa to the nearby neighboring towns and hopefully building them up. Once again, just set everything to automatic and job done. We can now send them off on their little route and they'll make millions for me. Oh, Barracoa is now rocketing its way up to having a absolutely massive population. I'm certainly very happy. It's currently December the 1st of the actual first year of this game. It's 1580, which is very good. Oh, and I'm noticing once again a missed opportunity. In order to get my fame in, I need to do another shipment of chocolate over to the English capital, but I don't actually have any ships lying around for it, so I might as well just buy a ship to do the job. So time to buy myself 2 lovely barks, the fastest ship in the game, and have them do my bidding for me. Yes, this will be my personal fleet. I shall use it to grind honor by sending mass-produced quantities of chocolate into ports without chocolate, or even ports with chocolate, because for some reason I can still turn a profit. Seriously, I've been able to take chocolate from here before and drop it off into towns which supply it and still make stupid amounts of money. Anyway, we're going to buy 500 chocolate, which all for the cost of 96, costing us 48,000 gold. Then we're going to sell that 48,000 gold cost over to Santo Domingo and hopefully make a lot of money. So here we are in Santo Domingo, time for me to sell my lovely chocolate. And there we go, fantastic profits were had, but most importantly, we've gained a point of fame. Now, what's the point of fame? Well, it allows us to effectively go down this technology tree, which is lovely. Going down the technology tree eventually allows you to make little cakes of your own, which is something that I kind of want to do. So I'm going to buy myself the first point into setting up a brewery. Lovely stuff. It is just absolutely terrifying because now all the chocolate that is produced by this town immediately goes into my warehouse, which I can then sell straight back to the town for just infinite quantities of wealth. And then I can take the chocolate from the town at a cheaper price than I've sold it to the town and move it to different ports around the Caribbean for even more profit. This makes no sense. Effectively, I've produced all of the chocolate, I sell it to the town and I make 100,000, and then buy all of that chocolate from the town for about 50,000, and I take those goods which cost me 50,000 but I've already made a profit on, and I sell them to another port for 150,000, effectively tripling my money as well as also not even losing any money in the first place. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? It means more bloody chocolate plantations. So I've set up even more chocolate farms and some more houses to hopefully flood the workers into. But yes, things are looking good on our lovely little Caribbean island. Once we start expanding ourselves out a little bit more, we can actually take control of other islands nearby and really start messing with their economy too. I am also interested in trading with the Spanish, and whilst they are really far away from us, don't see why it doesn't make sense for us to have trade go all the way from Barracoa right the way down to the Spanish capital for a nice tasty profit. So that's exactly what I've decided to do. I've bought myself 2 very cheap ships and I'm going to set them onto this little route. There we go. Go make me even more money. Now the issue with pirates is that even though I set them to regular, there are basically no known pirates in the game. Pirates for some reason just don't particularly seem to crop up, despite the fact that we're making stupid amounts of money and we have massive vessels laden with trade. They don't seem to actually be interested in going after them, which is a real shame. And our lovely city of Barracoa has managed to upgrade itself to 5,000 inhabitants. My goodness, we're 1 away from the peak. And it's also time for us to sell our lovely chocolate to the town center, and you know what that means? That means 250,000 gold. Lovely. Oh my god. We make so much money from just scamming our own citizens. Oh my goodness, what's this? Fame with the crown. We can sell apparently 735 chocolate to the crown and we'd gain some more fame. So let's use my personal fleet for that. We'll sail on into Barracoa, and instead of taking from the town, what we can technically do is we can just take straight from our warehouse. This doesn't cost us any money, but it is a waste because we can buy chocolate from the town for 96. So let's buy all of this chocolate for an average of 96. And if we really want to cheese the system, what we can do is we can then take the chocolate that we bought for 96, drop it into our warehouse, and then sell from the warehouse straight back into the town for an average of 107. Effectively, it's an infinite money glitch because what you do is you take the goods from your warehouse, sell them to the town, buy them from the town at a lower price than you sold it to the town for, load it onto a ship. That ship just sits in the harbour and hands it back to your warehouse for free. And then your warehouse people go, fuck it, let's sell it again. Then the cycle can continue because I can load it up onto my boat for once again an average of 96. Oh my god, it's all for an average of 96. There we go. And I can dump it off into my warehouse again. There you go. Take all 500 of it. Oh yeah, this is real insider trading right now. Now what I've once again done is moved all of my goods from my ship to the warehouse, and after a bit of trading, the price of chocolate has risen to the point where it's 129 for me now to buy because the market is kind of established, meaning I can then go to my warehouse and sell it for even more money. This is a lovely cycle, it really is. Effectively, this is just an infinite money glitch, and I wasn't even aware it was in the game. I've mostly been messing about with the price prices and being quite silly with it, but I didn't realize if you'd eventually hit a point where you produced so much of a good, the game just kind of doesn't work anymore. Anyway, let's sell all of this chocolate over to the capital and gain an extra bit of fame. Lovely stuff. I just don't even know how this functions. The fact that the average price in the town is 96 and the average price for me selling into the town is 109. It just doesn't make sense. 110 gold to sell something which you're selling to others for 96. The town just, it's an infinite source of money, but it doesn't make sense why it's an infinite source of money. The economy just doesn't make sense. I'm not used to this. Normally I fully understand how the economy of a game works, but this is just balked. Oh, goodness. And once again, we're in a new month, and you know what a new month means? It means a brand new shipment of chocolate to the capital. So we load in another boat up with 500 chocolate for 48,000 and dump it at the capital for, I think it's around about 60,000 or something. It's not exactly a massive, huge profit. It's certainly not going to change the game, but it's the fame which actually really matters. Actually, no, I'm wrong. We sell for 81,000. Jesus, my good lord, that's way too much money. Oh, goodness. Right, I love this game. I really do. This is my kind of game. The financial market is just completely broken, and that's how I like it. Now, apparently we are at war with the Dutch and the Spanish, which is a shame. That does certainly affect, several things. Actually, I tell a lie, it doesn't at all. Here's my trade ship. It just waltzed into the enemy capital. And what did it cost? Apparently it cost us nothing to waltz into the Spanish capital. If anything, it gives us around about 300,000. Ah, lovely. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the building permission from Port Royale to the south here for around about 75,000 gold. And the reason why is because Port Royale is a very important little centre. Now, whilst we can't build any houses or anything, we can expand its businesses. And by expanding its businesses, I mean we can start trying to aggressively get more sugar down. And there's nothing the world can do to stop me. So there we go, another plantation of 4 sugar. And I can just do the same, another plantation of 4 sugar. Lovely. Now, this will massively upset the local economy for quite a while because they don't exactly have the means to house this many additional workers, but it doesn't actually matter because as soon as they get built and more workers need jobs, well, I have the solution. We're going to load ourselves up with 113 unwilling workers from Barracoa and drop them off in Port Royale. And there we go. Now that we've arrived, we can dump off all of our unwilling workforce and sail all the way back to our glorious homelands. Alright, enjoy your new jobs working in sugar plantations, just so that I can try and get the cost of producing Bakewell tarts in Barracoa down a little bit. And oh no, the Spanish have come by and immediately all my boats surrendered, but I didn't lose anything except nothing. The occasional piece of linen, I don't know, something like that. Combat in this game is not negative in any way, shape or form. Anyway, it's once again time for that fantastic trade where we're going to make 300,000 by selling more chocolate to the town. Fantastic. The chocolate production rate is stupid. It's up at 79.2, which is just downright ridiculous. So we've increased the wheat production, we've increased the chocolate production. Now all that's left is to get more houses down before people start complaining that I don't treat them well enough. My goodness, I've just spent effectively all of my money on that. Oh my goodness, this is it. Barracoa has hit a population of 7,247, which is, a lot more than the capital of 3,647. Yeah, basically this one tiny port which started out with nothing has grown to twice the size of what is supposedly the capital port. Admittedly, there are issues of a distinct lack of living space, but it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that we get our money in. And my goodness, we've really been getting our money in. We can sell coal at an average price of 60 to a town which you can buy it from for 48. So there we go, that's another lot of easy money in the bag. And once again, the same exists for the chocolate, which sells for 110 in a town which can be bought for 96. This just doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense at all. Oh, it's so confusing. But I do like how this economy functions. Now, interestingly enough, because we basically own the wheat production of the town and the beer production, the town produces a set of wheat, but that wheat is then eaten up by the town's members, as well as the many breweries we have, which just absorb the wheat, which is in the natural town stockpile. Whereas our 96 produced grain just goes into our own warehouse for our own gain, meaning the town is currently having a massive shortage of wheat. We only have 5 left, yet I have over 3,000 in storage, so allow me to sell all of that. Yes, it's kind of a little bit balked, but for some reason it's actually easier to sell a town an item for profit when it has it in abundance than when you have it in abundance. For example, now that the town has an abundant supply of wheat, my average price of stored goods in the warehouse is higher than the price in the town, meaning infinite money. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Within just 1 year of game time, we have managed to produce our first million. And honestly, from this point on, a million is not going to be difficult to produce. Mostly because we're producing a terrifying quantity of resources and then selling it immediately back to its own town for fantastical profits. This game is completely and utterly balked, and I love it for it. But of course, how much is 1 million gold coins in 1581 in comparison to the modern day and age? Well, I'm actually interested, so I'm going to try and find out. Now, I've done some calculations behind the scenes, and apparently if you had around about £1 million worth of currency in 1581, then in 2019 that money would now be worth, according to inflation, £400 million, which is, as you can probably guess, a nice hefty quantity of money. It's enough money to buy about 40 private jets, which I suppose in the modern day and age you can then use to set about doing your own trading business. I'm not sure, maybe doing some illegal cross-border chocolate transportation, I don't know, whatever floats your boat. But none of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, this is a silly quantity of money and I absolutely love it. Now, if you have indeed enjoyed today's video, then feel free to give the video a like, as it does massively help me out in the long run, and hop down to the comments section and vote on what video you'd like to see next. I've got quite a few interesting things lined up. Would you like to see another Civilization video, perhaps another Fallout 4 video, or maybe, just maybe, you have an exploit of your own you'd like to have shown off on the channel, in which case I'll have my eyes and ears directed in the comment section. Actually, you know what, I'll just be there anyway. You can ask me just about any question. So I'll see all of you in the comment section later. As always, a massive thank you to each and every one of my majestic patrons who make these fantastic videos all the more possible. Seriously, thank you very much. Without your continued support, I wouldn't be able to do silly things like this on the regular. And hey, if you're sat there wondering what video you'd like to watch next, then look no further than this one on screen now. Trust me, if you've got a couple of hours free and you want to binge your way through a bunch of very strange content, then this is the collection for you. Anyway, I hope you're having a lovely day, my fantastic subscribers, and I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. You know what that means? It's goodbye for now.